Over the last few months, I've put out a lot of episodes focusing on CGC unboxings, going to local comic book shows, getting tons of comic books signed at Heroes Con, as well as my LCS, and of course, new comic book day videos every Wednesday. What I haven't done much of, though, is good old-fashioned comic book unboxings. These are books I've purchased from online sources like eBay, Whatnot, online stores, and of course, various auction sites. But that doesn't mean that I haven't been picking up some great books over the last few months from these sources. So today we're going to get caught up, starting with this episode, with this unboxing episode, where I'm going to show off some massive key first appearances that I've recently picked up. So stay tuned as I get set up, and I'll be right back. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and today we've got a good old-fashioned comic book unboxing for you, just without the unboxing part, because to be quite honest, these books have been coming in over the last few months that I've been picking up. I just haven't had time to actually do a real unboxing video. I've had so many other episodes that seem more important than getting around to doing these unboxing videos. And to be quite honest, like I said, there is no unboxing. Unboxing happened over the last few months, and these books have been staying right here beside me on the couch, getting ready to eventually get into my shop to be cleaned and pressed. Most of these books are investment books of some level, and especially the ones today, these are some massive first appearance keys, plus I got a few extra ones I'm going to throw in today, and I've been picking them up. In fact, I think every one of these came from the same source, Infinity Comics auctions on hipcomic.com. And I know I've done videos talking about the demise of Infinity Comics, and to a certain degree, that is completely true. And I've gone months without buying anything from there, and then one time I jumped back on, and over the course of probably less than a month, I picked up some massive keys. You've already seen some of the ones I picked up a few months ago at this point when I put out the episode where I picked up my Hulk 181. I won that on an Infinity Comics auction, as well as a beautiful copy of New Teen Titans #2, first Terminator, Deathstroke the Terminator, and another beautiful copy of Marvel Premiere 15, the first appearance of Iron Fist. That was all in one Infinity Comics auction. And at that point, I had actually started to give up on them. They had started changing some of the way they were doing auctions, even though they had had some great books, and I've had some tremendous success picking up some really good books and actually being able to help pay for the hobby with some of those that I've gotten graded and been able to turn around for a decent profit. But they started changing the way they were doing things. They no longer put in their description titles what grade they thought it was. And then the second thing is they stopped putting a second photo, the photo of the back of the comic. And that's a big no-no for me. I won't normally buy a comic if I can't see the back side, because so many times I've gone to a show, looked at the comic in the bag and board, it looks beautiful, that spine is just spotless, but you turn it over and all of a sudden you've got tons of color breaking spine ticks, and you've just wasted your money if you didn't inspect it in time. Well, same thing on an online auction like this. I need to see the back of that, and only a couple times I've taken a chance not to do that. Well, that Hulk 181, New Teen Titans, all of those, there were still a few auctions from Infinity Comics that were still doing it the old way, or at least a few listings here and there. It's probably more than just a few, but for the majority, I don't see those same kind of listings anymore during their auctions. Well, that's one of the reasons I had stopped going on there for a while, and that's why I talked about it on the show. Well, I did jump back on, just like occasionally I will jump back onto Whatnot after saying that I'm not going to buy on there anymore. But I do it anyway. I jump on there and I happen to see some pretty good things. And I like online auctions because it gives you a chance to look at those photos. Hopefully they're good enough. If you go to Heritage Auctions, those photos are fantastic. It gives you a chance to take a look and you don't have to make a snap judgment like you would, say, on a Whatnot show, for example. Well, I happened to jump on here over the last few months, and That's when I got that Hulk 81. During that same time period, probably over the course of less than a month, there were several other auctions. In fact, the next unboxing video that comes up are going to be some more books from Infinity Comics. But I separated those into a different category. Today, we're talking about massive keys that I've picked up. A couple I've never had, and one of them I've had and I sold because I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with the grade I got, and I think this is a much better copy, and we'll see how it goes. But of course, we'll do the reveal here, of course, as well, and talk about potential values, potential grades, things like that. But here I go. I went back onto Infinity Comics, and all of a sudden, I'm picking up some massive keys over the last few months. Let's just get into it. I know I'm rambling at this point, and you guys are going, oh my God, Russ, let's get on to it. What keys did I finally pick up? Ones that I'd never had before. Well, I never had this right here. I never had a New Mutants number 98. I had dropped the title long before we even got close to this. I was never a fan of Rob Liefeld. I never liked his artwork, much less the feet that he drew. I couldn't care less about the feet. I really didn't like just about anything that he drew. I've come accustomed to it over the years and can appreciate it, I suppose, in a way. But I was not buying the book at this time, and I just did not. Obviously, I've never had this book. And of course, it's a super expensive book. And you'll have to forgive me. Normally, I would have my notes in front of me there, and instead of reading them off of a clipboard, but I did write down values of this, and I'm just going to go over that. I'm going to use the notes here today, guys. So this was a near mint minus copy that I picked up from Infinity Comics. It's a auction win, and I know you guys are going to lambaste me in the comments like you do, like some normally do, about me not giving the prices. Well, like I said in countless episodes before, I don't like giving prices out on what I pay for these, mostly because my wife, my lovely wife, watches the channel, and she doesn't need to know what I'm spending on these comics. She just needs to know how much I might actually make if I sell one of these. And what could I sell this for? This is a near mint minus. Looks really good. Outside shot of a 9.8. Right now, that's a $1,000 comic, give or take. 9.6s dropped down to $9.46, and one even dropped down to $4.50. That was a little surprising. I will tell you this, my price, actually, I didn't even write the prices down because I don't want to get into comparing and letting you guys know that, I'll make a little bit of money if it's a 9.6. I'm not even going to get into that game right now. But super happy to have this book. First time I've ever had it. I will try to get this into the shop to clean and press. Hopefully, at this point, I hope I can get it in. I may just save it, get it cleaned and pressed. And of course, I do that myself. Hold on to it, and I will take it in person to CGC when I go to the Baltimore Comic-Con in October, and I can drop off the order there along with maybe some other orders as well. So there's number one. Number two is a book I have had before several times. I've had one signed copy that I actually bought signed, but this one I bought from Infinity Comics. And one of the reasons I finally needed to get this video, or I guess one of the reasons I didn't do the video earlier, was I had pulled this book already to go to Heroes Con to get Chris Claremont to sign another copy of X-Men 101, the first appearance of Phoenix. And this right here, I think I've got a signed 7.5 that I bought. It was already signed by Claremont. It came back as a 7.5. I didn't quite agree with that grade, but I've set on it a little bit. And then I think I've got a 7.5 blue label as well. This copy, I think, will do much better than both of those. And this is one of those cases where I'm actually trying to add a little more value to the book even by having that Claremont signature. So I kind of wanted to get this signed. And I still hadn't cleaned and pressed it when I went to Heroes Con, so I still needed to get it back. And one of the reasons I finally got around to doing this episode is I am getting ready to send in some books for the Jerry Conway signing, and I want to send some other books in, other orders in at the same time to try to get those started a little bit quicker. Because when you send in an order for a signature signing event and you put the initials of whoever you're getting signed on the outside the box, they open up those boxes a lot sooner than other unlabeled boxes. And I like to put other orders in there just to get them opened and into the system just a little bit quicker. And I really want to get this one in through CGC. If I don't get that in time on this order, the mail-in order, I will take this to Baltimore and drop it off there at that point. Values on this book right here. It's not a 9.8. Possible 9.6. I would say somewhere between a 9.2 and a 9.4 is what I'm guesstimating right now before I do a clean and press. 9.4 signed Claremont is somewhere between, well, I shouldn't say somewhere between. The last two sales were $1,000 and $1,260. So that's what I'm talking about. And I didn't pay anywhere close to any of that. Even a 9.2 is $1,000 and $1,080, almost the same as a 9.4. So I'm going to do really good on this book. The intent on this book completely is to sell that book and hold on to my other I'm hoping slightly lower grades that I've already got. Hold on to one of those as my PC copy. It's kind of bass backwards where you think, oh, you want to keep the higher grade. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but sometimes there's certain books I don't mind reselling to help, again, pay for the hobby. I put a lot of money into this hobby, and I need to actually make a lot of money in this hobby to keep it going. So that's what we talk about there. All right, here's the book. Like I said, I picked this up. I had it before. It came out as a 9. I think it was a 9.0. I had thought it was going to end up being a 9.2 or 9.4, and I ended up selling it. Mostly because even though I loved having that book for the first time ever, I just was not happy with that grade. And I'll be quite honest, what I paid for it versus what I got out of it, let's put it this way. I got out of it making just a little bit of money, not enough to even talk about. It was what I paid plus grading is what I got out of it, and I got it out of that book. Well, I finally got around to picking up another copy of Batman Adventures, number 12, first appearance of Harley Quinn. And this is I believe they had this one listed as a near mint minus as well. And I've got big hopes for this book. We'll see if we got that 9.8. Right now, 9.8 is, the last I saw was a $1,600 sale. 9.6, $782. 9.4, about a $500 sale. I have big hopes for this book right here. I'd love to keep this in my collection, but it's funny. I keep getting the facsimiles. I keep picking up those really cheap, and for some reason, those make me just as happy as having this graded and being able to see those as a 9.8. I don't know. There's something satisfying in that for me. Maybe not for you, but we'll see about this. My guess is this is going to be a book that will be for sale again at some point, especially if we can get that top grade. All right, now here's a book that I taken a big chance on. I spent a lot of money on this book, but I looked at it when it came up for auction. Again, Infinity Comics on hipcomic.com. And I looked at this book and I looked at some of the potential values on this. I think it'll be close, but I've got my work cut out for me. And it is a Silver Age book. It is The Brave and the Bold, number 34 here. This is the first appearance of the Silver Age Hawkman and Hawkgirl. And I've read this story 100 times in reprints along the way in my youth. I can't even remember where I've read this, but I've read this story so many times in collections and backup stories. My guess is probably in some of those old Batman 100-page stories they put it in there. I don't know. I don't remember. But I was very familiar with this story, and at the time I didn't realize that was the first appearance of Hawkman in the Silver Age. But it is. And I just started looking at the book and I'm going, wow, this is a crazy good looking book. Well, what I couldn't see is somebody was writing on a piece of paper right above this. I'm going to have to do some work right here to get the indents out in this area. And the other thing I didn't really notice, I didn't pick it up on the photo really well, was we do have a dog ear down here that will knock this grade down a lot, but the spine is phenomenal, and it is a phenomenal book. I'm going to say somewhere between a 6 and a 7.5. I mean, I would love it to be higher, but let me just give you some of the prices of recent sales for those. A 6.0, $630, a 6.5, actually a $504 sale, and a $712 sale. And all these sales are within the last month, really. 7.0, 850, 7.5, 760. That was, it's kind of weird. You're seeing some of the prices, I guess, the higher grades can have lower prices sometimes. 2020, or back in 2024, one of the last sales for a 7.5 actually went for over $2,000. So one of the things that I'm looking at when I'm thinking about these books is I'm giving you current prices, assuming I'm going to get these back fairly soon and I'm going to sell them immediately. We're talking about the current market. It may be a case where I just hold on to these for a while and we'll see the market and the economy pick back up. Something may happen. I don't think they're going to drop much lower, but I hope that if it goes up way higher, I might be better off just hanging on to all of these for a while. We'll see how this goes. And that's kind of what I'm hoping with a book like this. This is one of those that's a little bit more niche for collectors at this point, I would imagine. But high-grade Silver Age of some very popular Justice League America characters. I think there's always going to be a demand for that, especially if we can get that up to even above a 7.5. That would be fantastic. But those are the 4 first appearances that I was talking about for this video. But I also said I've got a few extras in here. And these are Silver Age books that I didn't feel like putting them into the next unboxing, which is a lot more modern books. It's still speculation, but most of those are, in fact, all of those are probably anywhere from the 70s on up to modern day books. And these are Silver Age books. Classics, Captain America 113, the Jim Steranko, the last issue of Jim Steranko's run on Captain America, a book that I have gotten signed in the past from him. And I'm not sure if I still have it or not. I can't remember if I sold that or not, but I know I've got issue 111. I got a 9.4 on that. And for me, that's a keeper. I can't sell that one, but this is a really nice copy. This is one of those few times I bought this one and then the next book together during one week's auction. And it didn't have the backed photos. I kind of went against my rule that I talked about earlier, but the fronts look really good. There's no dog ears. The corners are really sharp. There's definitely they're not going to be white pages. That's definitely for sure. There's definitely some foxing, some aging on this, but this has got some potential. What I wrote down was 9.0, 186. Again, recent sales, 186, 200, 8.5, 135, 150, 8.0, 153, 170. But if you get this signed by Jim Steranko, and he didn't show up at HeroesCon this year, so I don't know what's going on with that, but 9.0 on this, $504. 8.5 signed, $225, but there was a $700 sale back in 2024, late 2024. And then an 8.0 signed, $240. So the idea is eventually get this signed by Jim Steranko. Of course, you see Jim Steranko right there on the print. I got that a couple years ago at HeroesCon. And then another book that I've bought multiple times over the years, and it's a cover buy for Daredevil number 43. It's all about that Jack Kirby force perspective cover. What a fantastic. I've had 2 really good copies. In fact, I had a 9.4 on this that I sold a couple years ago. And it's a book. I love having this in my PC. I love this book. Love this cover. I don't think we're getting 9.4 on this one. And like I said, both of these came in the same order. This has some really sharp corners. There's no spine ticks. There's just aging. Definitely not white pages. 9.0, what I'm guessing right now on this, $240. 8.5 drops down all the way to 110 and 189. And an 8.0, $100 to $180. Somebody got a really good deal on that 100. If you really want an 8.0, this is a book that I would hold out for to get at least a 9.2 or 9.4. It's not like it's a rare comic book. There's a lot of these out there. Love that cover. It's not a key, But it is a classic story of the two of them battling, Captain America and Daredevil. And just this cover alone just is awesome. It's been homaged several times over the years. Jack Kirby, of course, cover. You've got Gene Colan doing the art on the inside with, of course, Stan Lee writing these stories. And then lastly, the other book. And I'm adding this in here because I actually picked this up. It's another Silver Age book, not a key at all. But I picked it up with one of the orders. Now, all of these didn't come in the same order. These are multiple auction wins over the course of a couple months. But I picked up this beautiful copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 54, one of these classic Doc Ock stories. John Romita doing the artwork. And I picked this up because I just was looking at the photos and I'm going, wow, this is some crazy good condition. I mean, there is no spine ticks. There's no dog ears. These corners are super sharp. I mean, there might be a little edge wear over here in the spine, but there's no spine ticks. And I'm going, okay, I put a little bit more money into that than I probably wanted to at the time. As I said, it's not a key, but I bought this strictly to hopefully turn it around and sell it. And I think this one has a potential of a 9.4. 9.4s have gone recently for $720 to $748. 9.2s really dropped down, $203, $285. 9.0, a little weird, $187 and $382. And even an 8.5 is $145 to $225. And knowing what I spent on this, plus grading, hopefully it'll be definitely above an 8.5, and I will do okay on this. But I think it's definitely better than that. I can't wait to get these into the shop. Problem is, I've got a lot of other books that are in the press currently, getting ready to go in CGC when I get ready to send in the book I'm sending in for the Jerry Conway signing. Of course, that book I'm sending in is a Spider-Man 129. I cracked open my 5.0, gave it another clean and press, or my first clean and press of that book, and then I'm going to get it prepped, ready to go in for that signing. But like I said, I'm going to send in a lot of other books, and I've got a lot of the books in the press right now getting ready to go in that same box that I'm sending the Jerry Conway book in. So we'll see if we can get these in. If not, these will be probably going in during Baltimore Comic-Con, where I will submit them there for Baltimore Comic-Con. They will take them back to Florida. I don't need to have them back during the same show. I don't need that same weekend grading and pay all that extra. I really don't need that. But anyway, guys, you got to let me know. What do you think about the books I picked up? I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely give me a like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any of the other episodes I put out each and every week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. All right, guys, I am out of here. I'm going to get these into the press at some point here. Until then, though, remember, every comic has a story.